Hello again, my audience. This is Paul, and you're probably wondering why I have my headset in. Well, that microphone for eons. It's just that I thought that you guys didn't. I thought that I was a bit too loud with the microphone. Maybe that's just because I know how to carry my voice really well, and it hurts my ears, but maybe that's because I have really sensitive ears and it's really easy for me to think that something is too loud because, man, when my family and I watch TV, the difference between how high my dad puts the volume and how high I put the volume are two very different things. So I'll save it for a bit because apparently no one is watching. Either that or you all are ghosts. I do have some really big news, but I'm going to wait until my statistics actually say that people are watching this because I really want you guys to be able to hear this because this is such big information. However, since most of you don't come here for my gaming content, let's jump right into the big announcement for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is Sora is going to be in Smash. Now, I've only played one Kingdom Hearts game, and that's Melody of Memory, which is technically a spin-off because it's just a collection of it's a rhythm game. So you take popular tunes from throughout the Kingdom Hearts universe and play them. There's also a couple of Disney songs in there because Kingdom Hearts crosses over with Disney quite a bit. But I'm excited for Sora, mainly because I'm really looking forward to experiencing some of those epic music tracks in Smash Brothers. I really like it when Smash includes really great music because then you can fight to that great music. And not only that, but Smash Brothers has a music player, and so I can play these tunes whenever I want. Now, admittedly, Melody of Memory also has a music player, but what's cool about Smash's music is that there's a whole bunch of tunes from throughout gaming history as opposed to just Kingdom Hearts music. So there's a bigger variety. There's, I guess it feels like a Hall of Fame, which is kind of how my brain operates to begin with. I tend to really like compartmentalizing everything. Have you seen my desktop? It has a whole bunch of lists of various bits and bobs that I've picked up over the years. I have my reviews listed in chronological order. I've got my books, and then I've just got whole lots of bibs and bobs. And you may have noticed that I even record, when I do my 16 type skits, I even do those all in order. So today marks an interesting day because here where I live, there's something going on called the Apple Lumpkin Festival, which I've never been to. I personally kind of don't want to go to that because from what I hear, it's pretty crowded. And I'm generally more of a small groups type of person. I don't really like a lot of loud noises. Sometimes I don't even like the sound of my own voice. So I really appreciated the opportunity to stay at home and talk to you guys, assuming people even show up to this, and to be able to just have some quiet time, really. And one thing I really like is that the local grocery store has fruit punch that's actually good for you. So I decided, you know what? I'm kind of an addict to iced tea. So how about I try something healthier for a change? Then my local grocery store also has sugar-free candy bars and sugar-free cookies. And I know sugar-free isn't the best, but I kind of want to have something other than crackers and yogurt. So I thought a couple of stuff could get me in the habit of eating better. Obviously, I'm not in particular need of a diet. I don't need to rush to lose weight or anything. But I'd still like to be on the track of eating relatively healthy, if you know what I mean. As far as as far as the direction this channel is taking, I don't foresee a major change going into 2022. I know in 2020, one of my big scoring system, but then a double priority was also to try to stay away from really bad games. Like, I guess that is one goal I have for 2022 is I want to make a year where when I review video games, there are not going to be any. I don't want a worst games of 2022 list. I want just entirely good games. Maybe I'll be lucky enough and just avoid all of these other games that otherwise I would have reviewed because no one else is reviewing them. Thank you very much for the likes so far, guys. I really appreciate it a whole lot. Then again, likes don't really do a lot to my channel, but I have to admit there's a certain guilty pleasure when I'm scrolling through my channel content menu and I see that I have a 100% ratio. Every now and then people dislike my videos, which is, it's fine. It gives me a little bit of a chuckle. But on the other hand, I also feel like when people dislike a video without telling why they dislike a video, it comes across to me, and I could be wrong, but it comes across to me as slight cowardice. Like, maybe the person doesn't realize that they made a bad video, and maybe they could use some constructive criticism to help them be able to improve in the future. Like, oh man, when I first started this channel, I thought it was a good idea to just put my camera next to my 3DS and just stream Zero Time Dilemma like that, and that was awful. But it did help a lot of people through the puzzle rooms. So at the end of the day, it was worth it. I just think if Zero Escape ever comes to the Switch, I definitely am going to be relying on my capture card a lot more going forward. But I really appreciate it when people are willing to give feedback without thinking that that's them being meddlesome. Because I review my own videos all the time. Like, I'm constantly looking back on what I recorded and seeing what I did right, what I did wrong, what I could improve upon. And I'd like to say I am my own worst critic. I tend to always see the worst in my own videos as opposed to seeing the best, although I intend to remedy that when I review 300 video games, which I'm rapidly approaching that. I tend to, or I'm planning on having a top 5 best reviews I've ever done and the top 5 worst, so that you guys can truly get the sense of, okay, you may be hard on yourself, Paul, but you at least give yourself a pat on the back when you do good. So I can definitely recognize videos of mine that are good, but I think those are the videos that are less popular, because I tend to like certain things on my YouTube channel that other people might not have as much of an interest in. So what I'm interested in might be totally different than what you guys are. So I might really like all the inside jokes and slight pushing for my novel in my Metopia review, but everyone else might be like, who's Hashaya? Who's Astora? We don't know who any of these guys are. Hey, Javel, welcome to the stream. I'm doing phenomenal. Did you hear the news that I finally got back in touch with my friend Reba from my very first mission trip? And we're gonna have a conversation with our voices for the first time since we met. So I haven't heard her voice in 11 years now. Yes, I am old. But it's going to be so great to be able to tell her how much she changed my life, and how if it weren't for her, I'd probably either be dead or extremely sexist or both. So thanks to her, that started me on the track of actually giving women a lot of respect, because boy, was I a piece of work before that. What about super happy about the news of Doom Guy getting into Smash, sort of? I know I'm pretty excited for Sora, even though I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. I am excited for the music, mostly. Yeah, that is great. I especially loved the cinematic presentation, like the graphic style, the ripples on Mario's pants. It was all just done so well, as opposed to how some of the early COVID trailers kind of felt like they were scrapped together at the last minute. Well, honestly, I've never played Doom, but from what I hear, that like started the first-person shooter genre. So I can thank this guy for creating a genre that I have no interest in. But that's the beauty of Smash Brothers. It appeals to so many different types of gamers. Like, I'd be remiss if somehow there was a game type that didn't appear in Smash. Now that I think about it, that would be an interesting challenge to ask myself. Is there a genre of gaming that wasn't represented well in Smash? Because we've got puzzle games, we've got the Tetris spirits, racing, simulation with Animal Crossing, fighting, because we've got too many fighting game characters, turn-based strategy, RPG. Yeah, that'll be a challenge for another day. Yeah. Is that actually true that it can run on any computer? Because I actually thought he was being serious when he said that. But it'll be great for that guy to finally take a break. Jebel, I'm sure you already know this, but just in case you don't, they're having an event on the Spirit board where... Thank you, Art of Self-Mastery. Do you want me to give you a particular nickname so I don't have to keep saying your channel name over and over again, or are you good with just Art of Self-Mastery? That thumbnail was taken on my 2015 mission trip. And this is when we went to the South Carolina Aquarium. So the background is supposed to be that of a shark eating me. And I guess, I don't know why that's the background of my channel. I guess when I finally got serious about my channel being more than just my own name, I guess that was just the first picture that popped into my head. If you want to tell me your name, that's totally fine. You can call me Paul if you want. That's what everyone calls me. That's also my name. In fact, fun fact, guys, I actually started out this channel just calling myself by my name, and then I started a blog called The Catholic Nintendo Nerd. Gandhi, well, nice to meet you. I actually started a blog called The Catholic Nintendo Nerd, but I only made one post before I got Husky? I'm sorry, but you'll have to remind me who you are, because I don't know you by your nickname. I don't even know what Battlefield 2045 and Halo Infinite are. I know they're both shooters, and I'm terrible at shooters. I actually only have Nintendo systems. So, since Halo's owned by Xbox, even if they were to make it like Fire Emblem, I probably wouldn't do it. Yeah, that's the one I'm missing too, Jebel. I am definitely hoping that the update will make it in the item shop. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Pokemon. Although I did try new Pokemon Snap. I thought it was all right. Probably going to go in my worst games of 2021 list, because it's just a photography game at the end of the day. It's not a whole lot of fun. You don't really do a whole lot besides just taking pictures of things. I could just go on a nature trip if I really wanted to. Okay, Husky, where exactly have we met? Because I would be really curious if you happened to be, someone on one of my mission trips. My room. You think my room is organized, Gandhi? Well, I'm glad you think so, because my family thinks it's disorganized. Maybe it's just that the part that I'm showing you is organized and everything else isn't. I think the the most organized part of my room is my amiibo collection, but you guys can't see it because it's behind the camera. I was very deliberate in organizing them, and the amiibos on display were arranged very deliberately so that my favorite boxed amiibos would be here, and then the ones I wasn't as keen on would be over here, and then over here, those are my Switch games that I actually have physical boxes for, because most of my Switch games are digital. 2019? Wait. I didn't go on mission trip in 2019. Did I maybe meet you at the college? So wait, did we meet in person, or did you see me on my channel and you're just like, yay, Paul, good to see you again? Because that actually reminds me of the big news I was going to tell you guys about. So, Jumble, you already heard this, but for the rest of you, so when I went on my very first mission trip, I was quite sexist, to put it lightly. A lot of girls had treated me really badly, and I was kind of just getting sick of them. So I said a prayer to the Lord. I believe this was Tuesday, July 6th, 2010. And I prayed that I would never have to speak to a girl again. That didn't happen. Instead, 2 girls came and sat with me at my table 45 minutes later. Their names were Monica and Reba. Finally got a chance to talk to Monica again, and I finally got a chance to talk to the other girl. Well, I'm going to have a chance this Monday. So I'm finally going to be able to say to both of them, you guys changed my life, and now I'm just so much better of a person as a result. Well, I don't know if kings pray, but I definitely pray. I don't know if I pray as much as most Catholics do, but I at least try to pray 3 or 4 times a day at least. Sometimes I pray more than that, but I tend to pray in secret a lot. Like, most of my prayers are done silently, and most of them are done like when I'm in my own room, so that no one can tell. Excuse me. So that no one can tell that I'm praying. Besides, if I told everyone the things that I prayed about, they'd probably think I was a terrible person, because people have a tendency. Excuse me, I must have been drinking that juice too fast. People would probably think I'm a terrible person. Let's see. Yes, Byleth was amazing because it had Three Houses music, and I love Three Houses as soundtrack, although I miss Roar of Dominion. I'm not against PlayStation. I haven't played it in so long. Like, I used to have a PlayStation for a little bit. I got bored of that really quickly. I played a little bit of the PlayStation 3 when it very first came out. I played Ratchet & Clank Future, Tools of Destruction, and there was this little kid, that kid is probably a teenager now, who was, oh, hey, Tiki, glad you could make it. I was just telling them how the last time I played on a PlayStation, it was on the PlayStation 3 way back in 2006, and I was playing Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction, and the little kid next to me, who's probably a teenager now, because that was back in 2006, he said, dang, you're so good. Do you have this game? I said, I don't even have the system. Prayer, it can be a type of meditation. There's actually many different types of prayer. There's prayers of petition, where you say, Lord, I would like something. There's prayers of sorrow, when you say that you're upset about something. There's prayers of joy, prayers of thankfulness, prayers of meditation. My prayers typically tend to be along the lines of, Lord, keep me on the right track. Because, I don't know, there are a lot of gray areas as far as what's appropriate and what isn't. And I just want to make sure that I'm not being a terrible person, because sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the rules. Oh man, 5 people. I don't know. Hope I'm able to give you guys each the amount of attention you want, because I don't want to make anyone feel left out. So make sure you guys are nice and forward about it if you feel like I'm not reading your comments. My favorite console is, I'll actually show it to you. Oh, it's all the way over there. It's my Switch. I love the Switch so much because it's so convenient, and I call it the dream machine because even though I prefer the Wii U gamepad, I like the fact that the Switch has made a lot of my dreams come true. Like Banjo-Kazooie is coming to the Switch pretty soon. Banjo and Kazooie are in Smash Brothers. Sora is in Smash Brothers. That's also pretty mind-blowing. That's where we got Undertale and Deltarune, and it just feels like there's almost nothing that the Switch can't do besides games that require more horsepower. Tiki, you have a PS4? That's so cool. Like, what would you say the PS4 does that the PS3 couldn't do? Like, what makes it so different? That's a good one, Jevil. Yeah, I loved Byleth being in Fighters Pass 1. I thought it was great that one of Nintendo's best games ever got the spotlight. Well, the thing is, Husky, if I were to get a PS3, there would have to be good games for it. And I can't really think of any good games that are on the PS3 that I couldn't just get on the Switch or the Wii U. Like, I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Rayman Legends, but I can just play that on my Wii U or on the Switch. Because Rayman Legends has the definitive edition on Switch because the Switch version has Mario and Luigi costumes, and Mario and Luigi aren't really allowed to be on the competing consoles. And I think Nintendo's a bit paranoid about the last time Mario was on another console. That was when he actually spoke, and I think they want to pretend that that never happened. What kind of games do I like? I'm glad you asked, because I tend to like adventure games the most. I'm also a huge fan of visual novels. I like some action games. Like, I'm a huge fan of Smash Brothers Ultimate, as you can see by all these amiibos. Breath of the Wild is currently my favorite video game. Tiki here can tell you that I'm really excited for Genshin Impact to come to the Switch, because I heard it's like Breath of the Wild, but like a different style. So I'm looking forward to that. I also really like Ace Attorney, Fire Emblem, the early Paper Mario games. I can't stand Color Splash or Sticker Star. Haven't played Last of Us or Uncharted. I'd like to play Uncharted because I heard it's pretty good, but it has to come to a Nintendo system. I do have a Twitch, but I don't do anything on it. I use Twitch to follow other people, but I don't actually stream on it. However, if you search up the Catholic Gaming Nerd on Twitter, you can find me. And I do post on Twitter every now and then, but I kind of basically just started my Twitter because of Kappa, because back in 2020, they threatened to take down the comment section if the videos were deemed for kids. Apparently my channel is totally fine because I've got people commenting on my videos, but they didn't make it very clear what the guidelines were of constituting for children or not. So I started my Twitter as a backup, and now people like hearing what I have to say. So that's nice. Well, Twitch is more so of a platform for streaming. And that's where I think you guys may like my streams, but I can't really stream regularly due to the way this house is structured. And also my streams are just me in front of the camera. I haven't really figured out how to stream video games yet, although I have gotten back into Let's Plays, thanks to YouTuber Peggle's suggestion. I'm just finishing up with Super Mario 64, then I'm going to do Yoshi's Story, then Banjo-Kazooie, and then from there, who knows. Hello, Caitlin. Welcome back to the stream. My favorite visual novels. Yeah, it's pretty hard to find ones that aren't inappropriate. So a lot of times you just have to kind of look past all that. But some of my favorites are the Ace Attorney series. My favorite Ace Attorney game is Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. That game is actually pretty appropriate by visual novel standards. There's not really any suggestive themes besides one person shows her belly button, but that's about it. That's like the most suggestive you're gonna get. There's a guy that drinks. There's talk of witchcraft and burning, but it's honestly really tame. So I would recommend Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright if you have a 3DS. I also really like the Zero Escape series. That series is very hardcore M-rated. You're probably not going to want to play that. That pretty much has everything under the sun wrong with it. At least it doesn't have nudity, so that's something. Other visual novels that I like. I can't think of too many off the top of my head, but if I have any more, I'll make sure to let you guys know. You must have been hungry, Husky. Mario Party Superstars. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too, because I have a lot of nostalgia for the N64 games. And I was one of those kids that got the blisters on my hand during Mario Party 1, so I'm definitely hoping those mini games don't come back. Twitch would give me donations, huh? Well, I have to figure out how to do that. Well, put it this way. If I were to be on Twitch, what would be the point of doing that when I already have YouTube? Choosy, huh? You know, I actually eat pretty much anything, so that really helps my mom, because she'll say, "What do you want for dinner, Paul?" And I'll just say, I don't really care. But I do have a preference for meat, so I tend to be more of a carnivore than an omnivore. So for future references, if I ever meet any of you guys and you're like, "Paul, I'm just going to cook dinner for you because you're too thin," I'll just be like, "Yeah, give me something meaty. I've heard that meat fills you up." Yeah, Jumble, I use my gold points quite a lot too. I don't tend to stockpile them a whole lot, though. I tend to be like, "Hey, if there's a deal, I'm going to take it." Huh. Challenges, huh? Well, I'll have to think about it, guys, because I'm consistent with my video uploads, but I'm not consistent with my streams. So YouTube is more for content creation. I mean, if Twitch gives you the option to like make the videos that I make, like where I make my reviews and I make my Myers-Briggs talks and all that, then maybe. See, the thing about me is that I like consistency in not only YouTube, but I like consistency in my entire life. I like to be kind of the same. And the more I go along, like I haven't changed my hairstyle since 2013, I think. I've had this general style of hair for that long. My channel is I've had long hair the entirety of my channel. I used to have bangs, but that's about the biggest change. Apart from that, my hair's looked like this forever. Yeah, I'll think about it. Yeah, herbivores. I can't really do that. Childhood and growing up. Well, let's see. Well, my childhood was kind of rough, actually, because I went to this really cool school where I was the most popular kid there, and I kind of got a little bit overwhelmed by the popularity a little bit, but it was still nice that I liked everyone there, and they liked me, and there was this girl in my classroom named Hallie. She was actually the only girl in my classroom, and she did not like eating very much. Like whenever it would come to lunchtime, she'd always refuse to eat. And I don't remember what I did. Maybe it was my soothing voice. Maybe it was the fact that she was comfortable with me being in her class and that I sat near her when we were learning stuff. But I was the only person that could get her to eat. My first video game that I ever played was Putt Putt Joins the Parade, shortly followed by Super Mario Brothers, because we had an NES at our school, and sometimes during free time we'd be able to play that. Eventually, I donated my Nintendo 64, and then after that, I bought another Nintendo 64 because I proved to my mom that I wasn't an addict. If only she could see my channel now. And then, no, I didn't have my first crush until 2012. But man, that was a pretty heavy crush when I finally did have one. Oh yeah, Zero Escape is phenomenal. How I wish it would come to the Switch. So yeah, there weren't a whole lot of girls at my school, to be honest. So that's why I was pretty ignorant about how females worked for most of my life. I don't know, I kind of, back then I had this mistaken impression. That girls were just guys with long hair and higher voices. Look at me now. So then once I left school and started being homeschooled, then I started to realize that there was a lot more nuance to the female mind. And then, yeah, you said talking about Zero Escape and May more stuff. That might have been, unless if you're referring to the Isabel joke. Yeah, the Isabel joke. Oh, that is, I thought you were talking about the Smash stream. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, Joe. That was pretty funny. So, fast forwarding a bit, my first crush in 2012, how do I describe having a crush? I guess something in me just, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of felt like a pressing sensation on my heart. And then I just said, you know what? I kind of want to pursue this girl. And the thought had never even crossed my mind that I would ever be romantic. I thought that I was asexual and aromantic and that I would never like a girl. And then, I don't know how to describe it. Just something came over me when I saw her. And I just said, I think that we're going to be soulmates. And eventually she got married. By eventually meaning like about a week ago. But we still managed to stay really good friends over the years. And I eventually did get another girlfriend. Some of you have even seen her on this channel. I have a whole playlist of her in ex-girlfriend videos. So you can see some of the stuff that she had to say. Oh yeah, I told her that I liked her. And she told me that she preferred to stay friends. And I said, I prefer to stay friends. Well, I said that I preferred not to lose our friendship if we were to go about dating. So that's why when she rejected me, it hurt a little bit, but it didn't hurt as much as when most guys hurt, because I was like, well, at least she hasn't completely door slammed me and said, get out of my life, Paul. Now, the first girl that I dated, that girl was the first girl that I dated, she actually confessed that she had feelings for me first. And at the time, I didn't really think that that was possible because her fiance had broken up with her because his feelings changed. And I was consoling her, trying to make her feel better about it. And apparently my consolation was like getting her to have feelings for me. So then she just said like, Paul, don't you realize by now that I like you? And I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, kinda, except that I was trying to pretend that I didn't because I didn't think it was possible for girls to like me. And then, then after that I prayed for a really long time and I said like, God, do you want me to be with this girl? Nah, her fiance never even met me. I prayed that I would do God's will first and foremost. That more than anything, I would do what he wanted over what I wanted. And then I dated her for about a year and a half to be precise. Then she cheated on me, and then the rest is history. So, haven't had a girlfriend. Well, actually, I did. I did have another girlfriend since then, but we only lasted 4 days before she broke up with me because she said, I can't give you the attention that you deserve, Paul, so therefore I'm going to break up with you. And I was like, I mean, I'm so I'm not I'm not the type that's desperate to be in a relationship. If it happens, it happens. But first and foremost, I want to please God. And I want to make sure that he's happy with my decision. Like, if he wants me to stay single, I'll be single. Okay, whatever. If he wants me to, whoa, language. If he wants me to be single, then I'll be single. If he wants me to date, then I'll date. But I don't want to just jump into something because, Paul, you deserve to have had love by now. It's like, well, it's one thing to deserve it, but it's another if God thinks that I shouldn't. So, all according to his timing. So that's about the gist of my childhood. I went on a lot of mission trips. That's getting into territory that I'd rather be more cryptic about. But let's just say that the people I met on those mission trips changed my life. And I would say that if it hadn't been for mission trip, I probably wouldn't be a bad person. Top of my bucket list is to go to a water park and to do the right thing, but I don't think that's really bucket listy. I think that's more of just a desire of the human heart. So hopefully I can go to a water park within the next couple of months. But if I don't, I mean, maybe there's a water park in heaven for all I know, God willing. I like to go skydiving, but I'm not going to be upset if I never do. But water park is something that I actively want to do. How old am I? I'm 147. Yeah, skydiving's always looked cool. I just haven't had a desire to go and jump into it really quickly. By the way, guys, please let me know if you feel like I'm not giving you enough attention, because I don't want anyone to feel left out. Yeah, I plan on living to be 341. Well, there is a part of me that kind of longs for heaven, but I also know that God might not want me to leave this earth right away. So, all in his timing, I guess I'll just die when I die. Hopefully I can announce it on this channel, because another thing that I plan on doing is I plan on keeping YouTube for as long as I'm literally able to. Like, I don't plan on stopping this channel until I literally cannot do it. Like, if I say get into a coma, or if I get a stroke, or if my computer gets destroyed, something very terrible would have to happen. I want to have the world record for longest running YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm going to succeed, because there are other YouTube channels that started way before I did. What do you mean by my consistency, Gandhi? Because there are days when I don't. Do you mean consistency as in like my videos have the same intro and ending? Do you mean consistency as in my upload schedule? Like, could you be a bit more specific there? I remind you of a good friend of yours. Well, I certainly hope it's in a good way, because I'd hate to be toxic. I actually have made a vlog, Husky. If you look up my CHWC 2018 vlogs, I have one video that's just a collection of all my vlogs. I wish I could do it more, but there hasn't been a good opportunity to go to a conference because of the pandemic. So it's all going to depend on if something ever happens again, because the last time I went to a major event was February 2020, and that conference is now debunked. because they ran out of funds, so they just canceled it indefinitely. Oh, regularly posting. I'm glad you approve. Generally speaking, I usually have a lot of projects going on at once. So sometimes the things that you guys see me post are actually stuff that I just held back so that I wouldn't like have like 6 or 7 different videos being dumped on you all at once. Oddly specific food choice, but you do that, Husky. Hope you don't find the vlogs boring, because I was on mission trip when I filmed them, and I would film them during my free time, so not a whole lot was happening. What's a midterm? I was homeschooled most of my life, so you guys are going to have to be patient with me for trying to adjust to all of these school terminologies. So you said you're INTJ, Gandhi. That's super cool. My best friend is an INTJ. He's quite a character. Oh, exams. I actually didn't have to deal with exams that much when I was in school. I think when I was in school, my mom was more concerned about knowing the stuff as opposed to making an exam, because that's what everyone else does. Why, thank you, Gandhi. I really appreciate it. I think we're the most underrated type, for sure. I can definitely see the argument that I could have been mistyped, but I also think that when you're typing someone in the Myers-Briggs, you have to go by the person's dominant mode of thought as opposed to what you see, which means that it's kind of impossible to 100% type someone, because every person has 2 extroverted functions and 2 introverted functions. So introverted by nature means that they're in your head. So how are you supposed to know what's inside someone's head unless you actually have their head? So that's why I say I know my head better than any of you, so that's how I know what I am. Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too, Jebel. I'm not mind-blowingly excited about Kirby because I've had a love-hate relationship with Kirby, but hopefully if they make it like Mario Odyssey, that'll be pretty funny. Sadly, I do not have Instagram, Husky, because my sister told me that it's pretty, it doesn't work very well with computers. And I have one of these ancient flip phones, so that's not going to work. Yeah, I'd love to be on a Myers-Briggs podcast. That would be great. How would you go about contacting me? Do you follow me on Twitter by any chance? Because if you do that, then I could just give you my email and you can send me something. It works with computers nowadays. Well, even if it did, I probably wouldn't do a whole lot on it, because from what I've heard, my sister told me that Instagram is mostly where people post pictures, and oh gosh, I've lost track of the last time I took a good picture. Oh, thank you, Husky. Much appreciated. I don't really post on Twitter a whole lot, mainly because Twitter has a word cap, and you guys know me. I tend to post huge stuff when I'm in other people's live streams. So if Twitter actually allowed me to blab, then I would use it more. Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to give my email here. Alrighty, I'll type it in. Yeah, just send me an email. I'm usually pretty thorough about responding to people pretty quickly. Oh good, thank you, Jebel. I'm really glad that you're giving Banjo-Kazooie a try. Yeah, I used to be pretty particular about who had my email, and then I realized, well, you know what? I can just delete emails that are too stupid. So if people are just going to spam my inbox, it's like, you're the only one getting enjoyment out of that. I can just delete it. And not only that, but email also has an unsubscribe button. So it's like, this channel, generally speaking, is pretty untoxic. Why don't I use touch phones? Because I don't feel like it, mainly. Also, just because I'm kind of an old timer and I don't really like adjusting to new technology. And these things are super efficient with battery life. Like right now, it has 86% remaining. And, well, admittedly, I haven't made any phone calls since I last charged it. But generally speaking, I only have to charge this phone once every week and a half, give or take. Oh, good for you, Jevil. You can see the N logo walking across the screen. Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, the original version, was actually published by Nintendo. So that was one of the reasons I thought it would be good for the Smash ballot and why I voted for them. Oh, next Saturday, I won't be able to do it that soon, unless if it's like in the morning, because I promised my best friend I'd hang out with him, and I don't remember what time he wanted me. So in the email, make sure to, how do I word this? Just we'll work it out via email. Oh, there's a whole world of differences, let me tell you. My best friend is also INTJ, and oof, the way he talks is just so funny sometimes. Like me, I'm very much a stuck in the past, go with the familiar type of thing, and he's always about innovation and moving forward. So you'd think one letter difference doesn't mean that much, but it means everything for the two of us. I would like Diddy Kong Racing as well, because I never actually beat that game, believe it or not. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to your email. Just make sure in the podcast that you let me know if I start talking too much, because when I'm in small groups, I can blab to death. That was definitely one thing that they told me in my childhood, was that I talked too much about things that I was interested in. So then that got me to be a lot quieter as I got older. And I don't know if I necessarily believe the theory that you become your Myers-Briggs type over time, but I would say that I probably would have been an extrovert had that not been said to me so much. If you're talking about this painting right here, Husky, I got it from my friend Kara. She gave it to me as a birthday present when I was already in a relationship. So that proves how special our friendship was, that even though I was in a relationship at the time and now she's married, that we're still really good friends. Well, I'm not as picky as most introverted sensors. Like, my room, for example, is a bit of a mess. But I do like things organized, but I tend to be more organized with my brain than I do with my external environment. It's not just girls. There are plenty of guys that talk a lot too. I don't know how art can be sexy. I mean, it's just water and trees and hills. Like, it has nothing to do with sex. But try to be careful with how you use that term, because some girls find the term sexy to be a derogatory statement. We in the Catholic Church believe that females, being God's last creation, should be treated with a lot of dignity and respect. And calling them sexy implies that all we care about is how their body was made, when really there's a lot more to a girl than just what she looks like. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, that's good. Yeah, she's very thematic, that's for sure. She knows that I like the color blue, so I think that's why she made the sky a particularly striking color. And when I moved into this house, the old owners just happened to paint the wall behind me blue. So I didn't really have to do any work. Huh. Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks a lot, Gandhi. It's been a pleasure. So, yeah, I think that's what she was going for. All the different colors of the rainbow. I'll have to ask her. People find food sexy, though. That's funny. I mean, my friend Evelyn, don't take this the wrong way, guys, because she is a devout practicing Catholic, so she's meaning this purely in a joking manner. She likes to stalk Instagram for pictures of good food, and she calls it food porn because she doesn't actually believe in real pornography, but she admits that she's addicted to looking at good food. So that's the nickname that she gave it. And she made it very clear that she had no problems saddling up next to me when we were in a restaurant, just being like, "Oh, look at how beautiful all this food is." I mean, looking at food is neat, but I'd rather eat it than look at it. So that's why I tend to not look at food pictures. I've actually never played Candy Crush, Jevil, so I'll take your word for it. Probably because it doesn't work on this thing. So you guys have given this 3 likes. Dang, I will never understand how these things get so popular. One thing that, I guess one thing that really surprises me is that, how do I word this? Forget it. I've worded this too much. I'll just say it another time. I've never played Mortal Kombat either, Jevil. You're certainly busting out the inside jokes for sure. I don't know if Mortal Kombat would be my thing. It seems too much like Street Fighter, and that game just seems like a nightmare to play. So I have a question for you guys now that you've been asking me so many questions. What kind of fun things do you all have coming up in the next week or two? For me, I'm hanging out with my best friend on Saturday. He's having a game night in my honor because he's been doing a series of games based on the letters of the alphabet. So now he's on letter C. And I said, why not make it cribbage? And he said, oh, hey, that's a great idea. So he specifically wanted to make sure that I could be there. So that's going to happen. And then I'm also just going to be hoping for the announcement for N64 Online. So what about you guys? It's time for me to shut up and you to shut. That's a weird oxymoron because shutting up means don't talk, but shutting down also means don't talk. So what are you supposed to say that's the opposite of shut up? Like shut in? But that also means being reclusive. And shut out means you're shutting out other people. Weird. Anyway, you guys get a chance to talk now. What's coming? What's the big deal? Calm? When you say calm, do you mean like XCOM? Oh, corn. That's, or is it calm? I can't tell. YouTube's font size is a bit small. It looks like either calm or corn. Well, I'm glad that you have a girlfriend. Hope you treat her with lots of care and respect. And I hope she does to you too, because a lot of people think that the guys are the jerks in relationships and they're the ones that treat girls like objects. But as one who had his ex-girlfriend cheat on him, I can attest that girls are just as capable of not showing guys respect. And girls can very much treat guys as objects because I wanted to save sex till marriage. She didn't. So in a sense, she was objectifying that part of us. So there you go. Girls are not totally innocent in relationships. So I think society just has a habit of victimizing females when, yes, it's true, but I also think males can be victimized too, and it's just not talked about as much. Oh, if that's what you mean, then I'm gonna have to hide that because I don't want future viewers to get the wrong idea. Then again, I don't know how many future viewers would see. Oh, I didn't know you had a PS5, Jubble. That's neat. What about you, Caitlin? What's been going on or about to go on in your life? Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't like it when I specifically ask you a question, just let me know. I just thought you'd like, because I know you said you take some time to type, so I didn't want to rush you. I have a hard drive. Funny jokes. Just so you guys know, I may sound like an open book, but there are a lot of things in my life that I prefer to keep private. So if I don't answer a question, it might just be because I tend to take my time to trust people. And it's generally not a good idea to reveal all your secrets to the internet right away. And if I do reveal stuff to the internet, it's usually because I spent several years debating whether I should talk about it or not. Like when I posted my videos of when I went swimming, I debated whether I should put that on or not because I wasn't sure if people would be comfortable seeing me in a swimsuit. But then I realized this could be an opportunity to be a testimony to someone overcoming their fears, and that could help people. So I said, okay, well, I'm kind of not being as explicitly Catholic lately, and the Catholic Church um, doesn't technically forbid swimming. So why not? Let's see. Well, sometimes it's okay not to have a whole lot of stuff planned, Caitlin. I think that can be an opportunity to sit back and reflect. But hey, having a stepsister is super cool. I have one living sister because my mom had 6 miscarriages, so I definitely really appreciate her a lot. I always call her my favorite sister as a result. Well, that about does it for my drink, so I'll see if I can go on for a little bit longer. Just when I say that you show up, Adam, I've got to do it longer now. Welcome to the stream. Today's been a very interesting day for sure. I've gotten folks that don't normally show up on my streams. Adam, did you hear the big news that I'm finally gonna be talking to my friend Reba again for the first time since I think 2011 was the last time we talked via typing. So now we're gonna actually be able to talk on the phone because we live in different states, so we can't see each other in person, but we can still talk on the phone, hopefully Skype somewhere along the line. And this is one of the girls that helped change my life. So it's going to be great to finally reconnect with an old mission trip buddy after all this time. But what's been going on with you lately, Adam? YouTube didn't show my content? What do you mean by that, Husky? Because lately I've noticed that the videos that I don't think are going to be that popular, 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years of what? Well, it could have just been the fact that I'm not much of a natural advertiser. Like, I don't really ask people to like or subscribe to my stuff. All I ask, irony, the only thing I ask is that people comment on my stuff. But yet, people like and subscribe more than they comment. And it's like, I don't get it. Leather rings? What are leather rings in this context? Like, are they fake purity rings? Are they like inner tubes? Like, what exactly do you mean by that, Adam? Also, you guys will be glad to know that I'm approaching 300 video game reviews. I currently have, actually I can pull up the current count right now. If you'll give me a minute. I've currently reviewed 290 games. So 10 more and I'll have hit the big 300. So hopefully I'll have some cool stuff planned to celebrate the occasion. I don't know how good it'll be, but it'll definitely be, if anything else, it'll just be for my peace of mind to know that I got that far and didn't let some of the low view numbers get in the way of me doing what I want to do. Because I think, oh, that's cool. Well, I hope you have fun with that, Adam. I bet you, that kind of reminds me, there was this TV show I watched. I totally forgot what it is, where they like had these rings on their fingers. It was Thanos. Thanos from Endgame. He had those things on the glove, and he would use it to like make stuff happen. So I'm thinking like the leather rings you talked about kind of remind me of the Infinity Stones a little bit. What was I saying? Yeah, so one thing that I do on my YouTube channel that I don't think a lot of other content creators do is I try to think about what makes me happy first, and then I think about what makes the audience happy later, which sounds so selfish when I word it like that. But like, if you think about it hard enough, let's say my audience said, Paul, show us a video of you skydiving. I'd be like, well, I don't know how to skydive. I've never done that. See, that would be making them happy, but I wouldn't be able to do that. However, I like reviewing video games, but maybe the way I review video games could be improved. Maybe I could use my microphone more often. Maybe I could talk softer. In that respect, the viewers could say, hey, Paul, try this angle. And then I could say, okay, that sounds like a good suggestion for improvement. But if I were only to be making people happy, then, well, I wouldn't be able to do what I like. And I think that would lead to YouTube burnout. And how do you think my channel's been going on so long, since 2016, with hardly any breaks? It's because I'm happy to do YouTube. It's as much of a hobby for me as playing video games. I mean, I would like to skydive. I said that earlier in the stream that I would like to skydive. I just haven't had a chance to yet. I actually don't really want to go on an airplane, so that probably won't end up happening. All right, guys, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go and get myself a drink because my throat's being a bit dry. So if you'll give me just a moment, I shall return. All right. Here we go. Okay, we are back. Yeah, I like the low views on my streams. It lets me be able to attend to everyone, and hopefully none of you guys feel left out. Because I used to get left out a lot for a lot of my teenage years, so I don't want to end up being the thing that I hated. So hopefully I've never put you guys into a situation where you were like me, where I'd want to say something, but then I'd get cut off by the people that spoke louder. HP? You mean Harry Potter? Well, I love Harry Potter, actually. It's my favorite book. Well, Deathly Hallows is my favorite book. It's not just my favorite book in the Harry Potter series. It's my favorite book, period. Because I love exploration. I love wandering around and seeing what secrets there are. That's why I love Breath of the Wild so much, as you can see. So I guess you could say Deathly Hallows was like Breath of the Wild 10 years earlier. I don't think it's a Hewlett-Packard. I think it's actually an Intel Core 17 Windows 7. So I don't know what you were looking at, but I don't think that's what I have. You never read the books, Caitlin? Oh, you're missing out. Okay, so if you're going to read the Harry Potter books, a few warnings to keep in mind. 1, the first book starts out very, very boring. It starts out from Uncle Vernon's perspective, and it's so dreadfully dull. But then they quickly pick up. They have some inappropriate stuff that's not in the movies, but it's pretty spread out. For the most part, it's not that bad. And then Deathly Hallows is just like a whole nother level of awesomeness. But one thing I think you'll really like, Caitlin, is the fact that Half-Blood Prince is so much better of a book than it was a movie. Like, the movie just butchered the concept. Because I don't want to spoil too much, because there's a lot of stuff in the books that weren't in the movies. But Half-Blood Prince, the book, it was intended to be like preparing for Deathly Hallows, and so there was a lot of talk about like how the wizarding world was changing, and the fact that there was a new minister and like what they would do to prepare for Voldemort. And of course, you know, Dumbledore wanted to teach Harry about Voldemort's backstory, but there was also a lot of romance because, you know, Harry was 16 now, so obviously hormones and all that. Not to say that there wasn't romance in the previous books, it just wasn't as explicit because Harry was still kind of discovering himself. But Half-Blood Prince, yes, it had romantic subplots, but that wasn't the focus of the book. The focus of the book was getting to know Voldemort, and the movie cut out almost all of that and just made the romance even cheesier than it was in the book. Which, yes, it was cheesy in the book, but that's because they're teenagers. But it felt cheesy even by teenage standards in the movie, if that makes any sense. Like they were trying... Husky, I'm going to have to ban you from the comments if you don't behave yourself. Husky, if I have to delete one more of your messages, I'm afraid I'm going to have to remove you from this or give you a timeout, because I don't want you to be making jokes like that on my channel. Yeah, I didn't really like The Hobbit a whole lot, Adam. I forced myself to read it through, and ugh, it was terrible. I actually read all of the Lord of the Rings books, and I hated them even more than I hated The Hobbit, because they were just so boring, and they were so I don't know, they just went on and on about things that I didn't care about. And the few times that the books actually got interesting, Tolkien decided that he just wasn't going to expand on the concept. And he was just going to be like, nah, I don't know what to do with this, so let's just move on. There were so many cool things he did that he just dropped completely. Like the fact that when you met Tom Bombadil, Tom wasn't affected by the ring. And so that could have been a cool subplot of like, hey, if Frodo and Sam can't do it, why not him? And they're just like, nah, let's just move on. I really liked the Hunger Games movies, except for the last one. I thought the last one was kind of just like, it was all right. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The books, I progressively liked less as I went along. I loved the first book, liked the second, and hated the third. In fact, I hated the third book so much, I couldn't think of a single good thing to say about it. It was so bad. But what I liked about the first Hunger Games book there are two things I really liked. The first was I liked the fact that Katniss is a very resourceful person. Like, she knows how to observe her surroundings, and she knows how to make practical use out of what she sees. She's like, okay, let's look at the terrain. Let's look at how much water I have. Let's observe our surroundings and make the most out of it. It was so much fun to see how she was going to survive in the games. She didn't just get lucky. She actually used her brain and her intelligence. Not only that, but I felt like her descriptions of the places in the arena were so vivid and detailed. And so it felt like I was reading a more intense version of Deathly Hallows, because you got to explore the wilderness and you got to see like how twisted the capital was. But yet, even though it was only from Katniss's perspective, you still got to see how corrupt they were. Then the second book was mostly just a lot of political drama. I won't spoil it if you haven't read it yet, but once it got near the end, it picked up, and then the third book was just, ugh. The movie did a better job than the book, I will give it that, but I don't know, I kind of missed the raw exploration and being able to run around and try to survive. That's what I love so much about Deathly Hallows. And Hunger Games did a good job of recapturing that magic. Although one thing I didn't like, the cave. The scene where Katniss and Peeta were in the cave, I think that spanned over 20 pages in the book, and it was just so annoying. I mean, I get it. They were trying to develop their backstories, but they could have done that so much better. My brother even counted. He was so annoyed by it. Also, Hunger Games is the only book series that both of my brothers and I all read through, which my brother Matthew hates reading. So the fact that he read the Hunger Games, I think it's because he's a carpenter, and so he probably really liked being able to see how Katniss was also resourceful, just like he was. Because my brother Matthew, he's great at working with his hands. He loves building stuff. He loves figuring out how things work. So being able to see how Katniss maybe devised a trap or how she hunted for food, I think that's what he liked about it. I also liked the fact that, now I don't know if this was Suzanne Collins' intention, but she made a point that female smoothness is overrated. Like, Katniss, she lets her leg hair grow out, which to the capital, it's like unthinkable that a female could have leg hair, but Katniss is like, why not? It's not doing anybody any harm. And then at the start of the second book, she just let her leg hair grow back because she's like, yeah, so what? This is a subjective expectation of things that are arbitrary, so why not do it? That's what I really liked. I like people to think for themselves. I don't like them to do things just because. I actually haven't read that new book. I probably won't because I've just kind of given up on reading books to begin with. But hey, if it really is a retelling, then maybe I will read it because I'd like to have an opportunity to be back in the wilderness and be able to explore again. But if it's from someone outside of the games, then I probably wouldn't. But yeah, that's what I think. If you like everything that I said about Hunger Games, Caitlin, then I think you'll love Deathly Hallows, because the book puts a greater emphasis on what Harry, Ron, and Hermione had to go through to survive. Like, the movies didn't really talk about their struggles with food whatsoever, whereas that was a big, big problem for them in the books. And one of the main reasons why Ron left them in the first place was partially because he was constantly starving. So I definitely think you'll really appreciate how they have to come to grips with the limitations magic has on how food is done. I also think it's really hilarious that in the Hunger Games movies, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't look like Katniss at all, but she plays the part beautifully. So that's one interesting example of where looks don't necessarily equal good or bad acting. Well, I know what to get you for Christmas if you ever give me your address. Wait, you've read all the Hunger Games books? Squid Game. I actually thought that was a video game when I first heard it. It wasn't until yesterday that I watched Eric Wen. He did an analysis on what the personality types were of all the contestants in the game. That's what I was like, oh, it's a TV show? So that tells you how in the loop I am about the recent trends. My sister always tells me I'm so behind the times. Like, a new album will come out, and I'll be like, oh, that sounds like a cool movie. And Nina's like, it's a song, silly. There's a Squid Game video game, too? Oh, no wonder why. No wonder why I'm so confused. Well, here's hoping for the best, Caitlin. Because I really think the Harry Potter books have some really great messages that are underplayed in the movies. Especially a lot of what Dumbledore has to say. Like, he has some really insightful things to say. Of course, I have also heard that people really hated Dumbledore after some of the things he did in Deathly Hallows. I mean, I'm kind of sort of one of those people, but I also think that he did a good job of disguising his bad traits. No, my sister doesn't really like that term. How do I word this? My sister's not really the type of person to judge someone by their generation, unless if they're actually actively doing things that are like a product of their time. Like, she'll look at people her age and just be like, oh boy, these fill in the blank people, because I don't want to say how old my sister is. They're just so unhealthy. But my generation, I don't actually know what generation I'm from. I haven't really looked into it. But I can definitely say that, according to my sister and a lot of people, I am very behind the times. Although, I do have a Switch. That's not too behind the times. This flip phone, believe it or not, even though it looks like it's ancient, it's actually pretty new. Like, I think it came out in 2020. So it's a new, old-styled flip phone. Whew. Well, guys, I'm getting kind of tired, so I think I might wrap up the stream in a bit. But before I do, I'm going to see if you guys have everything you needed. Oh, okay, boomer is slang for when someone is being too old-fashioned and they're, like, stifling the fun. Then okay, boomer is a figure of speech to say, like, wow, you're kind of ruining the mood. Like, for example, Nowadays, it's really popular for people to have an Instagram and say like and subscribe. But the older generation was very particular about what information they gave out. So for them, like my mom's generation didn't even like giving the birds and the bees talks. They were very private about every single little thing. So if, say, my mom were to be told, I don't want to say my mom's real name, but Paul's mom, you should get an Instagram. And she's like, no, I don't want to reveal that much information about me. They'll be like, okay, boomer, because that's an old-fashioned mentality. Of course, as you've probably guessed, it doesn't mean that you're actually bad. In fact, it could actually be a good thing that you're told, okay, boomer. Like one time I was on a page for Catholic singles, and they said, like, hey, everyone, let's give our names and phone numbers and state to everyone so that we can all like get to know each other better. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Wouldn't it be better to gauge the accurate character of the people so that I don't end up making a mistake? They're like, well, okay, boomer, that's too old-fashioned of you. So in other words, it basically means that they think that you're using outdated ideals. Does that answer your question, Caitlin? If it makes you feel better, I didn't know what that meant until just recently either. So certain sayings I don't really get either. Like when I first started watching, well, I don't really know what Zoomer means either, Jevil, so you might have to explain that one to me. But I didn't know what poggers meant until just recently. I didn't know what F in the chat. I don't get the whole like rating mentality. There's a lot of online slang nowadays that just is completely over me. Of course, I didn't even like Facebook trends back when they were trendy. Oh, glad I could explain it. Yeah, the whole 9 yards is another saying that means giving a thorough amount of information. Alrighty, guys, like I said, I'm getting kind of tired. I don't know how other streamers do it. Maybe it's because they actually play video games and that helps them like stimulate their body. But I can't do that. Oh, Gen Z, I get it. So do you guys have any like things you want to say? Last couple of questions and then I can wrap it up from here. Oh, hey Furim, welcome to the stream. I was actually just about to end it because I'm getting kind of tired, but I can go a couple more minutes if you want. The what? The WAE? Does that stand for Washington? I don't know. Can't say I know what you're talking about, Jevil. I don't know what you just said there, Adam, but that was funny. Sorry, but I don't know what you guys are talking about with the WAE. Is that short for like Women's Artists Enterprises or something? Well, I had a feeling it was pronounced way, but I also thought it might have been an abbreviation. Oogadon Knuckles, never heard of that either. So Furim, I'll try to stay on a little bit longer, but before I go, I don't know if you heard, but I finally am going to be able to beat me, Caitlin. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm finally going to be able to talk to my friend Reba again. She's someone that I met on my very first mission trip, and she actually helped change my life. She was actually the opposite answer to something that I prayed. And so I'm finally going to be able to talk to her on the phone this coming Monday, and I'll be able to tell her how much she really turned my life around. Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it? Man. Yeah. I already got to tell the other girl, Monica, and she said that I was one of her top 2 highlights at that camp. So hopefully Reba will be able to say the same thing, because Monica, at the very least, I was able to talk a little bit to. Like, I had a couple of Facebook chats here and there. I commented on some of her pictures. She commented on one of my Facebook notes where I did a retrospective on that mission trip. But Reba, I had practically nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure the only thing we had for the past 10 years was me saying happy birthday to her and her liking the post. And I actually thought that she didn't like me. I thought that she actually, well, I don't think I thought that she hated me per se, but I think she like I thought that she actively disliked me and was like ignoring my posts on purpose. But then Monica was like, no, she doesn't dislike you, Paul. She just doesn't like Facebook. So it turned out that it was the social media I was trying to contact her with, as opposed to me as a person. That was the problem. So now that I have her number, now I can find out what she actually thought about me for the past 10 years. That's a strange-ism, Jebel. I definitely don't understand that in the slightest. But at least you explained it, so that's better than nothing. So I still haven't had any word from Julie as to whether or not I'll be able to go to CHWC again. I'm still waiting to hear back from my case manager about an upcoming job. I should be getting a job at a gym pretty soon, being the cleaner. You guys all know how well I do with janitorial services. That's going to be a big contributing factor, and then it's also going to be a contributing factor if Julie doesn't have her family vacation. But put it this way, if I have an opportunity to go to Catholic Heart Work Camp again, I'll take it. I will lose my paycheck for a week if I have to, but I will do everything in my power to go again, because from 2010 to 2018, I only missed one camp, and that was because I was really stubborn back then. And I thought, well, 2016 was a phenomenal camp. I don't want to risk having a camp that's inferior. But then I missed it too much after smelling the smell of the vans when I helped them pack. So then I went back in 2018, and, well, Adam and Furum, you guys know that was a worthy investment for me to go back, wasn't it? I wouldn't say it's lucky, Jebel. I would say that I actively really tried really hard to pursue these friendships, and I looked up like common courtesy, common sense. I studied the do's and don'ts of what people like to hear. And so it wasn't just luck. It's not like these girls just fall out of the sky and they're just like, whoa, hey, Paul. Like, it actively involves me trying my best to like really be to them what they want me to be. Of course, they have to put in work of their own as well. A lot of times it feels like I do most of the work for my female friends, but I kind of do that for a lot of my male friends too. So I've kind of just accepted that most male-female friendships are going to have the males doing most of the heavy lifting, and that's okay. What isn't okay is when females don't do any of the lifting. Those are the people that I just get fed up with. Those are the kind of people that I've just given up on. Like the types of females where the only time you ever hear from them is if you send them a message and it's the first time you've heard from them in like 5 years. That's where I'm just like, oh man, this is terrible. Thankfully, I don't have too many people like that in my life. And if you guys think like, dang, Paul, you've got some strong opinions on females, I used to be incredibly sexist. So You should be really thankful that I am the way that I am now instead of what I used to be, because I had so much worse things to say back then. What was the joke, Adam? I kind of lost the context. But yeah, Jevil, no, it's definitely not by luck. Yeah, you have a great night too, Firam. Thanks for dropping by for as long as you did. Why, hello, Maestro Vichozo? Is that supposed to be a reference to Metroid by any chance? I wouldn't say that, Jevil, because I have a couple of things that I struggle with. Well, I won't name it here, but I definitely have a couple of circumstances that go against my favor, and I've had to work on them for several years. In fact, some of those issues got to be so bad that I almost gave up on girls altogether. So the fact that I actively decided that I wasn't going to give up on them, thanks to Monica and Reba coming along and telling me otherwise, I would have been just like you, just saying like it's hopeless. Girls don't want me. I said, no, I'm going to fight. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to study what they like. I'm going to try to be a gentleman. I'm going to read the Bible. So you have to have a certain level of determination. There's an Undertale reference there. You have to be willing to go above and beyond. And that's not saying girls don't have to do that as well. I mean, autistic girls exist as well. So they definitely have their own challenges. And even non-autistic girls have things they have to keep in mind. But for your sake, Jevil, I'll just say that they have their own things that they have to worry about, and possibly they're worried about their own safety. So you shouldn't sell yourself out too short. It's relationships, even if you're trying to talk to someone of the same gender, require a certain level of perseverance. Man, let me tell you, some of my guy friends, I had to push really hard to be friends with them too, but it was worth it. So my secret is I didn't give up when there's one little problem. I kept going. Makoto Naegi is the protagonist of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. He's a very ordinary person who is basically the most average high schooler ever. He attended an academy called Hope's Peak Academy, where everyone there has to be ultimate. And his title is the ultimate lucky student because he was chosen at random from regular students. Oh, hey, Zoe. Glad you could drop in. I've missed you lately. Hopefully I can give you a phone call in the next couple of days. But I'm glad you could drop in. Yeah, the stream's been pretty great so far. But there's hope for you as well, Jevil, because as I'm sure you know from playing the Danganronpa games, Makoto was very much a nobody. But then Makoto worked hard at, I don't want to spoil it in case you guys decide to play it, but Makoto worked very hard to become what he was. He didn't just sit back and say, I am just going to magically be good at it. So, in other words, it takes skill. And that's why I really like the fact that people now are calling out the Mary Sue archetype. Because the Mary Sue, for those of you that don't know, is a type of character. It's usually a female character, but it can be a male too. It's a character in a movie or a book where they have these really cool abilities, like they might be able to breathe fire or manipulate time or be really good at a sword fight, but they don't do anything to get those powers. Like they're kind of just born with innate abilities. However, someone who's not the Mary Sue archetype is what you would call a realistic character, because you got people like You got people like Luke Skywalker. He wasn't just born with the ability to hold a lightsaber, manipulate the Force. He had to train. He had to work hard. He had to make mistakes. But overall, he went above his weaknesses and proved to be a master Jedi. In the same way, all of us, I'm sure, autistic or otherwise, we've all had our experiences where we've failed and we've made mistakes. That doesn't mean they have to be the end. We can say, no, I'm not going to be defined by my failures. I'm going to be like Luke Skywalker, and I'm going to work hard at it. Yeah, there you go, Adam. Sometimes it even takes multiple years to get good at something. And if you want to use me as an example, I didn't think I would ever date someone. Before my first mission trip, I thought I was asexual and aromantic. And I was so dead set on being single my whole life. And I thought there's no hope for me. I'm hopeless with girls. I don't like girls. They've treated me terribly. Like, it's totally, totally terrible. But then Monica and Reba came along, and then 2 years later, I did get a girlfriend. Not either of them, because they live out of state, but I did end up getting a girlfriend later. So it goes to show you don't even have to be defined by your sexuality. You could think that you're one thing, and then it turns out you're not. Metroid Dread, haven't played it yet, but I have it in my rental queue. Nice to see you, Matthew. I don't recognize your name among my regulars, so welcome to the channel. Is there a particular reason you come by? Because most people only come to my channel for very specific videos. I can't think of anyone who watches all of my videos. Because I do so many different things on this channel. Yeah, human nature in general means that until we're in heaven, we're always going to have problems. But we don't have to be defined by our problems. We're defined by how we handle the problems. Yeah, I guess Scary Stew is a way of calling the male characters that. That's a good point, Jovel. You got it, Adam. You got it. There was actually a song a couple of years ago called Jesus Takes the Wheel that exemplifies that philosophy of letting God take the reins. So if everything I'm saying sounds like I'm bragging, I don't want you guys to think that that's the case, because I'm still learning myself. I still struggle a lot in making sure that what I'm saying is not too boring, and making sure I'm not saying something inappropriate, and praying that I'm not doing the wrong thing. So yes, I've come a long way. Yes, I'm not as sexist and terrible as I used to be. But I'm still going to make mistakes until the end of time. But at least I can hopefully give hope. I guess you could say I could be like Makoto. I can give hope to those that might think that they're just defined by their problems. Yes, yes, that is the definition of a Mary Sue, Jovel. Definitely. Oh, thank you, Matthew. I'm glad to hear it. I wish I could do more Catholic stuff, but I don't always know how to make it interesting, is the problem. If you have any ideas for Catholic ideas that are easy to make in a more unique fashion, that would be something that I try to do. I did do a Doki Doki Literature Club Catholic review recently, so that's one thing I'm trying to do. Why, thank you, Adam. I'm glad to hear it. I am my own worst critic. I mean, the name of this stream should tell you something. I tend to be overly hard on myself all the time. There you go. There you go. There's a problem of mine. That's something I've always had trouble with, is always thinking the worst about myself and not recognizing not recognizing, I mean, not to say I don't recognize any of it, but I generally don't give myself enough credit. Yeah, Captain Marvel could have been better, but I did like Nick Fury in that movie. Alrighty, guys. I know I keep saying I'm getting tired, but I think I'm gonna have to like actually put my foot down and say I gotta wrap it up, because I like I said, I don't know how other streamers do it. But was there anything else you guys wanted to ask before I go? Well, Caitlin, you have my Twitter, so you can always message me if you have anything you want to ask, because I know it might take you a while to type. I really appreciate all of you coming on to my stream. Have I found 4? 4 what? Jevil, do you have anything you want to ask or say before we before I head out? Yeah, the universe is pretty crazy. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming to all my or most of my streams. It means a lot to me that you can put up with me talking for so long. I can't even put up with me talking for as long as you guys can. So thank you for that. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Jubble. I really appreciate it. Yep. Have a good time, guys. Thanks so much for joining me for as long as you did. Oh man. Oh, I'm starting to have some chest pains. I can't laugh as much as Yes, I think I am a big shot. Yep, yeah, I get the joke. That was pretty funny, Joe. Good one. All right, guys. Well, I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and hope that whatever I'm feeling isn't a sinister sign. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic. God bless, and you can be a big shot, and you can also move beyond your problems. Bye.